From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Check them out. You can go on their website, cptallybar.com, place the order online, zip right on in and pick up your wings, pick up your cheese curd bites, whatever you want, whatever your heart desires. Go to cptallybar.com, check it out. Friday nights, live music, Corey. You like cutting a rug at the CP on a Friday, huh?
I do. I don't get up and dance much, but I like to listen to the music. Yeah, I don't exactly get up there and cut any rugs or anything. But yeah, I'm there. I'm clapping a lot. Yeah, I'm kind of one of those. I sit and I nurse my drink and I nod my head. Mm-hmm. One of those guys. All right. I'm not up there dancing like a crazy person. Those guys, I never trust a dude that dances in a bar.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's very judgy. That's very un-Corey Clark-like.
Just saying, like at a club, it makes sense. But at a bar, you just get up there and start dancing. I don't know.
Food, darts, pool, entertainment, all of it going on over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
Good food. Good food. Legitimately good food, folks. I would not steer you wrong. I never have. You might hear Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and you're thinking it's like a pool hall. They have a couple pool tables, but it's a sports bar with good food.
Yes. And plenty of televisions to watch your favorite games. So as you get ready for March Madness, some people will be at sports books, but why go to a sports book when you got the Corner Pocket right in your backyard?
You know what they do, Aslan, that I think you would appreciate is like I was up there Tuesday night playing a little trivia.
Okay.
And the FSU baseball game was on.
Ooh.
So they dial up the ACC Network Extra. They do that for FSU baseball games, so they'll put FSU baseball games on the big screen too.
Let's go. All right, there we'll be opening up ACC play on the road in Wake Forest, in Winston-Salem, rather, against Wake Forest. So we'll have that to talk about on Monday. Maybe some leftover questions and observations from Friday's practice. They'll be practicing at 4:30 or so, 4 o'clock, whatever it is in the afternoon. So we'll be out there, Corey, myself, Ira. I think Austin's still in town, T. Lang. Maybe Cameron come back out, do another stand-up. Gene's out there snapping photos. We've got you covered, everybody. Even Michael Langston was out there. We literally had all of us out there on Wednesday. So we ain't stopping. We'll have those observations for you folks on Monday. Corey, we've got like 20 questions in the Renegade Express mailbag to get to, so by my math, if we do about 3 minutes on each question, you get about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I'll just do my 15-second spiel on each of them.
Got it.
We should be good. But before we get that, how did your workout go on Thursday?
Crushed it. A lot of had to do some pull-ups, but like from the ground up, like laying on the ground and pulling myself up. That hurt a lot.
Okay.
Still feeling the effects of that one. But yeah, felt good. Then went on about a 3-mile walk, 2.5-mile walk when I was done. Still trying to get the because I don't want to just tone up, Aslan. I want to shed some LBs too.
Right.
You're not, folks. If you wait until the spring game, you're probably not going to be able to know. If you come in for the spring game, you're probably not going to be able to notice a difference. But when you see me in New Orleans, you're going to be like, when did Warchant hire Bruce Willis? That's what you're going to be thinking. I couldn't think of like a
no, it's perfect.
Bald,
that's perfect.
Yeah, all right, good.
Speaking of lookalikes, dude, Tate Rodemaker's dad looks like he could play Costner. He looks like he'd be John Dutton.
Yeah, agreed.
Very Yellowstone vibes from Papa Rodemaker. So shout out to him and his offspring. Let's begin the show. First up, tennis ump. By the way, baseball's back. You excited, Corey?
I am. It's going to be crazy, man, because they got a lot of there's like dozens of free agents that haven't been signed yet. There's going to be signings every 5 seconds until spring training starts. So yeah, it will be fun though. It'll be entertaining. Hopefully, the Braves sign Freddie Freeman.
Tennis ump, our friend out there in Birmingham. He umpires tennis matches, hence the name Tennis ump. Question: what effect do you think the two transfer wide receivers who are proven punt and kickoff returners, that would be Micah Pittman and Winston Wright Jr., and also finished top 20 last year in their respective categories, will have on our performance, as both have been abysmal in recent years? Thanks, as always. Corey.
They will improve it. Look, man, I feel like they kind of settled on people. Like, nobody really wanted the job on this team the last couple of years, it didn't seem like. They really didn't. It was like, will you go do it? Well, how about we try him? These two guys like returning punts. They're good at it. They want to do it. and that's a big deal. So, yeah, I expect it to be much, much better just because these guys have experience doing it. Pokey, I don't know if he returned punts in high school. He might have, but it wasn't something he especially seemed to want to do, and he wasn't good at. Neither was Keyshawn. Neither was anybody they put back there. Yeah. But these two guys like doing it, and whether they excel at it or not, they should still – they're going to help.
Absolutely, right? They'll catch the ball. I mean, not to be a smart aleck about it, but Corey did it. I mean, Corey tabulated the amount of yards that were lost just to making the actual punts land and roll. I mean, they always, for whatever reason, the way these guys kick the football now, it's always positive for the opposing team. So simply just stepping up and catching the ball will help out. 10, 15 yards here and there. That's a lot of hidden yardage. I'll also say Corey Rensman back there showing a little bit more, I don't know, comfortability. Seems a little bit more natural catching the ball now. It looked a little bit of a, I don't know what was going on. Maybe they worked on his eyesight or something. I don't know, but he's fielding the ball cleanly. And he's got a different kind of burst, I think, than even Winston Wright and Micah Pittman.
Yeah, so. But I would not. I don't think he's in play for punt returner. It's much easier to return kicks than punts.
Yeah, but still, though, I mean, kick return, that's still part of it. He said, because that's what Winston Wright does. Winston Wright's the kickoff return guy. I think Micah might be more of punts. So, yeah, we got those covered. It's going to help for sure, tennis. Up every little bit, just 1%. Yeah. We're all getting 1%
hidden yards.
Better.
Hidden yards, we like to call them.
Yeah. But hopefully here, now that full pads are on, maybe we'll start seeing a little bit more of that stuff open up. Although they never really did it live, right? Even during the season, they would do special teams. It was never really fully live. It was just kind of like gunners running, but there was no real physical sort of point of attack being done. But hopefully we can see these guys field it and run and move around soon enough. Island Chief, wake up. Thank you for all the options you provided for us to discuss, Aslan, but I'm going to stick with football. Up top, I'm like, hey, we can talk about softball, talk about baseball, basketball, where we go from here. He wants to talk about football. 59 strikeouts and a conference tournament blowout leads me to remember we indeed are a football school. Ouch. How quickly we forget what Leonard did these last 4 years. Tons of newcomers, but among the returners, who has surprised with their growth and who has changed the most? Tell me something I don't know. Love you guys, Island Chief.
Well, look, Josh Farmer is the easy answer. I don't know if he's been talked about enough, we should go to someone else. But, yeah, he's a guy he now looks like a defensive tackle and is standing out at defensive tackle. Like, he's made some real plays. He looks like kind of a bear. He looks like somebody that's tough to block. It's early. He's not going against first-teamers necessarily. But, yeah, man, he's dominated some drills, and he's had some really flashy moments. And then, again, I've mentioned him before, but McClendon just, to me, looks different. DJ Lundy, too, by the way. Looks a little svelter, a little quicker. Getting a guy that has 110 tackles last year will motivate. It has a way of motivating people at that position. But, yeah, I would say those three guys on defense are the ones that I've kind of noticed the most.
Agreed with Corey on DJ Lundy in terms of physical transformation. I think Lloyd Willis is up there, too. Lloyd Willis looks much more kind of cleaned up. I know people talked about his arms don't look nearly as big as they were. I mean, he's long enough, though. I mean, as long as your arms are – you didn't lose the length of the arm, so that's the important part. And I wouldn't think that a guy like Lloyd Willis would drop weight if he wasn't told, not to, right, Corey? I can't imagine him being like, yeah, I'm gonna drop 20 pounds just because. I would imagine that came from the top, so he's transformed himself. And I think Jordan Travis, he looks a little bit more defined and toned. I mentioned it earlier in the week. Just in terms of physically looking different aesthetically, Jordan's probably in the top three there, along with the aforementioned players. But in terms of like their growth, in terms of their play, I don't, it's, I guess maybe the other Josh Burrell, good seeing him out there after, missing last season with an injury. Yeah, he's a physically developed young man. He looks much older than a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, but I don't think I would put him in a category of like making a lot of plays that we've seen. It's only 3 days, but I don't know that I've seen enough from him in the actual practice that we're talking about to say, okay, he's grown into somebody that they will count on this year. Yeah,
I'm not going that far, but just it was good to see him kind of bounce back from injury. This quickly. But I don't know who's really surprised me with their growth. I haven't, my jaw hasn't dropped. That's kind of what I would think about when you ask a question like this. Kentron's caught a lot of balls that are gone his way. But again, I don't know if that's somebody I'm ready to say, okay, he's going to crack, the rotation constantly for this team. So Maybe to be continued on that one, Island Chief.
Yeah, I think McClendon and Farmer are good answers, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just want to bring Summit to the table sometimes.
I got you. Yeah.
S. Quinn, 67. Here we go. There's lots in it. Lot of meat on the bone in this one. Wake up! At FSU, football is always the priority. Although the Diamond Sports are looking pretty strong, softball team looks like they may have an answer for that home team over in OKC. Amen. Spring football practices have shaken us out of our winter slumber, and we are getting pumped up on the snippets we are hearing. Let's hope the first day in Shells receives a high grade for the Warchant crew, or from the Warchant crew. I thought it was good. Good first day in pull pass. I liked it. My question for the week, which players are having the biggest impact from a leadership standpoint during practices? Maybe you can name one from each of the following groups. Freshmen, who seems to be leading the most among the freshmen. New transfers, who seems to be making an impact across the team. And existing players, those who have perhaps stepped up versus where they were at last year. Loving all the content. Keep up the great work. Drink to Luna and drink at Corner Pocket. Just don't drink those crappy watered-down vodka drinks.
Don't be like that.
Shots fired. Shots fired, S. Quinn. Go Noles, S. Quinn, class of 1990.
Saturday night, they were not as watered down as I would have liked. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, so where do you
not
go from
watered
here,
down
Corey?
at all.
Where do you go from here, Corey? Are you gonna space it out with maybe like a drink of water between each cocktail, or?
No, well, that should always be what I do. But no, I'm doing it on my own now. Like when I was there Tuesday night, I ordered a tall glass of water and a shot, and they brought it to me, and I did it myself. And because they're at Corner Pocket, they're good folks. They're actually trying to take care of you. You order a single, they make it maybe a single and a half, get you a little more money's worth. But I was like, nope, I don't want y'all to be nice to me. I just want the shot, and I'm going to do it myself. So yeah, that seemed to work a little better. So maybe I'm still there. As far as the question, well, what would you say?
I mean,
that's a hard one, man.
It's hard to say that freshmen are leading. Azaria Thomas has made a couple plays that we've seen. I think maybe out of the freshmen, maybe he's the one that's kind of flashed the most.
Yeah, he has. McCall is a vocal kid, though. Like when he had the pass breakup the other day, he was screaming about it. Not like taunting, just screaming out of excitement. Like he was fired up about it for himself. But yeah, man, you can't imagine. There aren't. I don't think there's going to be. Maybe there just aren't going to be many freshmen that lead. And also, it can be different ways, man. I don't know. I mean, there is leading that goes on in practice. Understand, number one. We don't want to fake it. So the first 2 days of practice, we're at Hauser. So we're on the breezeway of Hauser, 3 stories up or 3 flights up, whatever. And a lot of the practice is going on 130 yards away from us. So we can't really hear we can see everything, but we can't really hear what's being said. So that it's really hard to determine like who at any of the positions. Who's really taking a leadership role, because you can't really, if you're not there hearing it, it's hard to know.
Fair.
Right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not trying to fake it either, but just I think, we're talking about freshmen leading. You're going to have to lead by example, not necessarily vocally. It's, I'm sure they do in the locker room, in the meeting room, segment groups, when they're all hanging out, having lunch and dinner together. But when we see them, it would just have to be guys making plays, leading the way. Azaria Thomas has made probably the more impressive plays out of the true freshmen, I would say, this early.
Yeah. And the ones that I should pay attention to more, and I haven't, and I'll do that actually today when we go out there. I want to go watch the offensive linemen for a few drills, a few periods, because we're right over top of them. So they're the only ones that practice anywhere near us, really. So we can hear them either get onto their teammates or encourage their teammates, and that's a place that needs a lot of leadership. So I think their 2 best players are 2 guys that are transferred in. So what is that dynamic like? Does Caden Lyles feel like he can, really be a leader right now? Can he get on to guys right now, his 4th day of practice? So that'll be something to watch as well.
Yeah, well said. I mean, in terms of new transfer, I think all those guys are feeling things out right now. We haven't seen them bark at anybody or try to rally the troops. Not that there really has been that opportunity yet. But in terms of the new transfers, they're out there, but there's no one that's, leading their group and coaching everybody up. Right now, I think everybody's head down, listening to what the coaches are saying and executing as best as they can. I mean, there's nobody in particular, I would say, overall, leading into the existing players who are like, all right, man, that guy is taking ownership of everybody, holding everybody accountable. And that's not a bad thing. Again, we've seen them through 3 practices as we record this podcast. So when the pads come on and these things become a little bit more grueling, we'll probably get a better idea. But they're going to take
Yeah.
9 days off after.
Well, they
practice
are.
day,
Yeah,
so.
and it's not the one thing I would say, and we're very encouraged by what we see from just practices in general because of just the amount of competition, the amount of bodies and everything, is that, there aren't a ton of Jamie Robinsons that wouldn't appear on this team. Like your quarterback is kind of a soft-spoken guy. I don't think your running backs necessarily are the most talkative guys in the world. Receivers, I don't know, maybe Keyshawn.
Yeah.
And
Keyshawn
the new guys,
Pittman
Pittman.
ran after Trayshawn's big play on Wednesday, ran down the field and was, hyping him up.
I don't get the idea that Pokey is a really vociferous guy, a vocal leader necessarily. So that's some stuff that still needs to be figured out because you do need that. Jamie Robinson definitely can be the guy on defense. So can Fabian Lovett and Cooper. Like those guys, I'd be interested in Deloach too, what he ends up, because he should have a lot more confidence and a lot more swag to him after how he played at the end of last year. So I'd be interested to see if he becomes one. But yeah, they're still searching for those guys.
Moving on to JT Noles 2K2. Hey, Aslan and Showtime. Should be Hey, Corey and Showtime. Shout out, by the way, I actually bumped into JT Noles 2K2 after Saturday's victory over Cal over at Hauser. So,
okay.
Yeah, so shout out to him. When I went to the basketball and baseball games last week, I loved the whole reunion feel. However, upon seeing JD Drew and Michael Polite, it gave me an idea for a question. Who are the top 3 FSU families, athletic-wise? Oh, nice. And the question, I was only going to include those who strictly played and never coached. With that said, I would go, this is JT Noles 2K2, his response, his top 3 athletic families. I'll start from 3. I'll work my way 3 to 1. Because I don't know. I'm assuming number 1 for him is the number 1. So, number 3, the Williams family, Vince and Carlos. 2, the Travis family, Devin and Jordan. Number 1, the Drew brothers, JD and Steven. Any other siblings, families that measure up to these 3? As always, thanks for answering my questions. Support the sponsors and players with YouTube accounts or merchandise. Hope you all have a good weekend. Go Noles.
I mean, look, I would put the Boulwares over the Williamses.
Okay, right.
One of the Boulwares was a top 5 pick and a 2-time a consensus All-American and is the all-time sack leader at the school. Carlos just didn't do enough. He wasn't a bad football player. And Vince didn't either, quite frankly. I mean, he seemed like a much better NFL player than a college player. And I think Michael was okay. He was a 2-year starter, right? So I'd say the Boulwares are up there. The Travises are good because Devin was so good. So you had a guy that played in, I think, 2 College World Series, was an All-American or at least close to an All-American, All-ACC baseball player a couple of years, MLB player, and then his brother's the starting quarterback for now going on a second year. So there's got to be people we're missing, though. I understand, folks, if you're screaming at us right now, because I know there's ones that we're not thinking about or not occurring to us. We know. Trust me, this is just off the top of the dome, but the Boulware was the first one that came to mind.
Would you put XRM and his pops, his family?
I'll tell you who I wouldn't put is Mitchell Wiggins and his trader kid. Did you have fun in Lawrence, Andrew? Didn't say a word your whole recruiting process, and then was like, I guess I'm going to Kansas. That's weird. Yeah, well.
Or the Polites. I mean, Anthony's been a contributor.
No, XRM was better than Anthony. XRM had a better career in totality than Anthony. Just was more impactful. And his dad was good, man. His dad was like a 25-point scorer. I would put the Mazes there too. Yeah, I would say the Drews are probably up top, right? Because they were both, top 5 picks? And both were good All-Americans. I would say that. Could you count the Posies?
Yeah.
I mean, Jack it's like
Gerald.
Hank and Tommy Aaron. I mean, Hank Aaron had a brother that hit. They still have the record for most combined home runs as brothers. Tommy Aaron had 12.
I know. We're like looking at siblings. We've talked about families. Yeah, because what you say, Charlie and his son. Caleb and Charlie Ward. So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
they're in the mix as well too. Maybe we'll come back to that maybe later on the show. I'm sure Corey will be.
I'm sure some will pop. Some will pop to us. Yeah.
Let's go to Raw Dog 1.
Okay,
Raw Dog
right.
1. 2 G's.
Raw Dog. Obviously, Raw Dog was taken. Had to throw a number in there.
He's been around since 2006. Only 296 posts.
Efficient.
Yeah, never. This first time checking on the Renegade Express. We got rules, but with a name like that, rules don't apply to you apparently. So we'll just go ahead and fly with it. From Baton Rouge, apparently, his bio says. Shout out, BR. Can the offensive line and defensive line really step up and lead this team? 2, which unit looked the best after the first day in pads, O-line or the D-line? I think the defensive line got a little bit of an upper hand on it. So I would say that. And can they really step up and lead this team? Both those units, absolutely. I believe so. Honestly, I know I said the defensive line looked better in the first day in pads. On the timeline of this entire thing, I feel the ceiling is higher for the offensive line. I have more belief in the offensive line. I think they have more depth than the defensive line, crazy enough.
Here's something crazy I was thinking about when I was talking about the leadership is like what I love nothing more than watching an offensive lineman after like a 14-yard run where he's blocked his guy and is moving downfield to block somebody else, and then he starts high-stepping. You know what I'm talking about?
Right,
and getting fired up and doing like a little, not a dance, but a fist pump and a high step and screaming at the top of his lungs.
Kind of galloping. Not really high step, but galloping, I would say. Yeah,
but they're fired up. Yeah. And it's like, we are dominating this game. This is our game. We are winning this game for our team. And it's just hard to imagine Robert Scott and Darius Washington doing that. Do they have that in them? Is that something that they can become? Because if they can, and same thing with Gibbons, maybe.
I think so.
I hope so, man. Because if that's in there, I just think don't just have a mindset not to get bull rushed, not to get bowled over. Have a mindset to go do the pancaking, to be the one that dominates your opponent. Don't just try to not get dominated or to do your job. I mean, you obviously want to do your job, but go, number one, take pride in it. Take pride in like stealing people's souls, which is what these great offensive lines do. And I just hope they have some of that in them, like that dog in them, where they want to embarrass the defensive lineman. And they want to tell you about it, line up and do it again. They're not there yet. They're young. But can they get there? That's what I'm hoping for. And does Lyles bring some of that with him from his Wisconsin days, I wonder?
I think we underestimate Darius's mean streak, especially because he played.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. That you said it in 140 less words? A mean streak. Do these guys have mean streaks?
Yeah. I think it'll come out. Alex will bring it out in him. I believe
Good.
in him. So what do you think, though, Corey? Ultimately, I know you agreed first day in pads, defensive line had the upper hand, but if you had to like put stock in one of these, you feel better about where the offensive line can be when we're in October, or do you think the defensive line will still be maybe the strength of that side of the ball, or at least more reliable than what the offensive line's been doing?
Man, I hate to sit on the fence, but I think it's kind of a tie.
All right.
Like I expect them both to be pretty good.
I just think offensive line's got more options right now. They've got more bodies to throw at it.
I'm
ripping on page from the Clark playbook. Just throw the bodies at it.
I think there's a chance maybe somebody else, maybe a portal opening happens again, and you maybe get another defensive lineman. We don't know that yet, but look, if McClendon can like actually take a step, and if Farmer can take a step and be like good players, like in a rotation type players, to go along with Briggs, who I think was playing pretty darn well before he got hurt. And Verse ends up being anywhere close to his potential to go along with those two dudes in the middle who played a lot of football and who are good. Yeah, man, I think the defensive line can be good. But, I don't know if they're going to be, it's just so hard to lose. What, they lose 21 sacks from their two defensive ends? Probably 35 tackles for loss. That's a lot to replace. But I do think I do think of these guys, the returners, because it can't all be on Verse. If McClendon, Briggs, and Burse, and somebody else steps up in that role as a defensive end, and then you get somebody like a 44. What is his name?
Joshua Farmer.
I keep wanting to say Foster. If Farmer can take that step, and you've got and also the kid from Baylor who's still here, right?
No, he left. Deontay Williams.
No, not from Baylor. Then from Louisville, Jackson.
Jarrett Jackson.
Jackson.
There you go.
I want to see. I'm gonna look for him too on Friday later
Hard
on
to
today.
miss him. He is huge.
I know, but I want to see him do some stuff.
Yeah, no, I know.
Because remember, Norvell thinks he has all the potential in the world. He probably has the most talent of anybody, at least in the interior. Maybe he could take a next step. There is potential for this defensive line to be pretty darn good. But, man, if they just become what they were, if they just stay the same, all of those guys, if they stay the same and don't get better, and Burse isn't some phenom. I don't know. I would say the best they could be is a little bit above average, maybe. Hopefully all these guys get better.
Let's go to Hawaii. Spartan Noles 71. It's Ralph. He's a Marine. I misspoke the other day. Our guy Shane corrected me. I called, I think, Ralph an ex-Marine. There's no such thing as ex-Marines or former Marines, right?
Yes, that's right. You are just a Marine.
You're just a Marine. Aloha, guys. How's it?
Except for the guy that abandoned his post. What was that guy's name? Like 15 years ago, it became a whole thing.
Oh, I don't recall.
Bergdahl or something? I can't remember his name, but he abandoned his post. It was a whole weird story, man.
Yeah, no. I know.
Anyway, I think you could call him an ex-Marine.
Can we do a trivia where we take on the world, Corey? Like you and I versus everybody else?
Well, number one, now that I think about it, he probably wasn't in the Marines, so I got that part wrong, and I'm almost... Bo Bergdahl? Is that a name?
Oh,
Did
it
you
is.
recognize that
It
at
is.
all?
It is Bergdahl. Nailed it.
All right.
Yeah.
But he might not have been in the Marines, so I might have been 1 for 2 there.
Yeah, no, he looks like he's in Army fatigues.
Yeah. Sorry.
Army
I apologize to all the Marines out there listening. Bergdahl wasn't one of yours.
We would never do that. All right, Ralph says, don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but since I will be arriving in Tallahassee on the 25th of August this year, just wanted to ask if Headlines and or Warchant will be doing something in Tallahassee before the season opener. Love you guys. See y'all soon enough. Your friend, Ralph. I would assume so. We're going to blow it out for the first 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, almost certainly. We'll do something probably the Friday before the... Well, we'll definitely, Jeff and I will have the show Friday at the...
happy hour at the Corner Pocket.
The happy hour at the Corner Pocket, but we might do something... When is the 25th? I don't know what day of the week that is, but we'll probably do something Seminole Headlines, like a Seminole Headlines appreciation. Maybe we don't do it for Duquesne. Maybe we do it for the next home game. But we'll figure out something. Yes, we will definitely have a couple of get-togethers for sure.
August 25th is a Thursday.
So if we did a Headlines thing, we might do it then. I don't know when the JCS/Warchant appreciation party will be. Maybe it'll be that Friday night. Maybe we'll just turn it out that Friday night before the big Duquesne game.
Yeah, maybe we should just do it all together. But that's just one man's opinion.
Just combine it all at once, yeah.
And then, I'm sure that, again, there'll be something probably organized for New Orleans as well, Ralph. You'll know first. Maybe not first, but you'll be one of the first people.
Is Ralph going over to New Orleans too? Is he staying all week?
I think so.
All right, yeah, man. Yeah, we'll definitely be doing something in New Orleans as well, even if it's just impromptu. Hey, we're at the
Patos having some hurricanes. Come out to
the dungeon
or that. All the times I've been to New Orleans, I've never heard of the dungeon.
I haven't either. I kind of wonder what it is. I haven't looked it up. I
don't have a good feeling about it.
Could be dicey.
Amstaff Knoll. Which true freshman has the best chance of making an impact this fall, and why is it Azaria Thomas? I got the list in front of me, Corey. So Azaria, Julian Armella, Dante Anderson, Jalen Early, not on campus yet. Daughtry Richardson, Daniel Lyons, Jarrell Powers, not on campus yet. Quayshawn Sapp, not on campus yet. Kanaya Charlton, Bishop Thomas, Omar Graham Jr., Duffy, Brian Courtney, Rodney Hill, Sam McCall, Aaron Hester. Those are your options. I know that was a lot. But probably...
Yeah, I would say his answer or maybe Rodney Hill.
Okay. Right.
I think he could get some play. I mean, again, he's got a lot of guys that are in front of him, or at least in the competition with him. But I think he's good enough that they're probably want to get him the ball at least a couple times a game.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody far away from the line of scrimmage, I would think. I love the way Kanaya Charlton is built. I mean, he looks like he's built to be a college guard or just an offensive lineman guard, regardless of level of play. I know Norvell was gushing about him, and so did Cam McDonald. But I didn't remember seeing Brian Courtney doing anything special on Wednesday. But again, they know more than I do. Maybe he's the dark horse, but I would think I don't. But then that back end is going to be so deep, man. Cooper, Jamie, Jarian, Brownlee when everything gets hammered out and figured out. It's going to be tough to kind of get some burn back there, but he is probably the best bet on that one, I would say. Yeah, there you go. Dark horse, Brian Courtney. Sam McCall too, maybe. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. Right. Courtney's got some ability, man. He's never played the position before or very little, and he's just not going to be strong enough to probably play a ton of reps at tight end, but he can certainly be a guy on third down you put in there. He moves well. He moves exceptionally well for his size and not having played the position before.
I'll say Sam McCall. I know I just said the back end's going to be tough, but I think maybe he's a little bit more polished has a little bit more of a defined role as a cover corner as opposed to Azaria Thomas as, I don't know, corner, maybe nickel, maybe safety, who knows. But good question, good problem, good question.
It was a guy on a Zaxby's Buffalo Wing, and he was eating a new Buffalo Garlic Glazed Boneless Wings meal from Zaxby's.
Yeah, I remember the guy, except it wasn't.
Yeah, it was a guy on a Buffalo Wing, guy on a BuffaloWing.com.
And don't forget to listen in for the Zaxby's indescribably good Player of the Week every Monday on Wake Up Warchant.
Let's go to Naples. It's Mark M. Adams, CZ. Wake up! Who stood out when the pads were on? Looks like based on the practice footage I just watched, the defense raised their game. Yeah, they had better day on Wednesday. Is Jordan Travis still the clear quarterback one, or is one of the other guys pushing him to at least make it a competition? No, it's him. He's comfortable.
It's him. Yep.
Hoops finale, a disaster, of course. I think they're better off skipping the NIT. Go home, get healthy, hit reset. Do you agree? Go Noles, and love you guys very much. Love you too, Mark.
I mean, I would just say, watching that game, they looked like they had already cashed in the seat, like the season was over. They didn't play at all against Syracuse as if they had any desire to keep this season going. So, I mean, I know that's not how you coach. That's not how you run a program. But if I'm the coach of a team that played like that, I'd be like, you know what? Well, I'm not going to do this to you guys anymore. We had a nice finish to this regular season. You clearly weren't interested in trying to make the NCAA tournament or even the next round of the ACC tournament. So apparently, what's the point of playing an NIT game? I mean, it gives your young guys one or two extra games maybe. But, I mean, look, I think they're going to have a hard time even getting an NIT bid. I mean, there's going to be a lot of number. I think isn't that the rule that if you win your conference tournament, one of these smaller conferences, but you get ousted in you win your conference regular season, but you get ousted in the conference tournament, you get an automatic NIT invite? I think that's a rule.
I know Iona, Rick Pitino got bounced, and they were the regular season champions.
Yeah, so I think they get to be an NIT. They'll go to the NIT. So it's going to be schools like that, and maybe apparently maybe Wake Forest. That was a bad loss for them. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the one thing that could happen that it shouldn't matter one way or the other. It probably doesn't. I say it in jest, but you'd hate to go play Iona and Matthew Cleveland go for 33 and 12, and it's like, yeah, maybe I am ready. Instead of this last game where he just got embarrassed and lost by 40. So, but yeah, he should not be going pro. That doesn't mean he won't. But yeah, I don't see any real, especially if it's not going to be a home game, which it wouldn't. They wouldn't be like one of the higher seeds in the NIT. I don't know why you go on the road to play an NIT game when you're all beat up and your team just looked like it was done playing.
It will be interesting to see what they do. I don't think they'll stand pat. I know the culture is healthy and it's still firmly intact. Leonard said as much even after that loss, but and it's not even his age or anything. But I just feel like when it comes to basketball, they're not going to get complacent. They're not going to be like, we just had a little bit of a blip. I think they're going to be aggressive in trying to figure out, I don't want to say roster shakeup. I mean, there's going to be new names, and there's going to be guys that probably leave. They'll be like, what?
Yeah.
So
I think they got 5 or 6 freshmen coming in, but you can't count on them for big minutes. You had to do that this year, and you saw what that was. You've got to go get a 4 that can move or a 5 that can move. But if you're going to continue to play a defense where you switch everything and you put, lead-footed but really good potentially player Naheem McLeod having to guard point guards, man, you're going to get blitzed by. So they got to go find a guy that can move on defense that has length. Malik, that's why Malik was perfect for them. They go find another 6'9" guy that can go guard guards, and maybe shoot. You got to get some shooting, especially if Polite doesn't come back. But there's at least a pretty good chance that Polite does come back.
Mark's first question, I want to gloss over it. Who stood out when the pads were on? I don't have a specific, but I would say the defensive line. It's hard to tell. I'm focusing on the ball, like I'm looking at the quarterback, but as soon as the pocket collapses, it's hard to tell who was responsible for doing it. Was it the defensive tackles? Was it the defensive ends? Maybe to Corey's point about Derek McClendon flashing at points, maybe he's somebody that stood out. But I would say the defensive line to me the first day, just to see how much how much chaos they were creating in the backfield for whether it was Jordan or AJ or Tate back there. That stood out to me the most probably from pads.
I would say Trayshawn Ward, but again, he's not getting tackled. Now, they are trying to thud up, but he's not getting tackled. But he had at least 2 long touchdowns and just looked really good.
Primetime 92. Hey guys, does Warchant have any hazing rituals for new employees? Naked mile or having to call Gene Daddy for the first year of employment? Maybe have to go fill up Corey's gas late at night at the sketchy north side gas stations. Maybe be Aslan's hype man on a night out in College Town. Just throwing around ideas. I'd like that. That'd be cool.
For you to have a hype man?
Yeah, well, just or, somebody could maybe edit the podcast. That would be cool.
Oh,
but yeah,
okay.
I'd take a hype man. That'd be cool. If I was just sitting at the bar and some guy's like, yo, you're that dude from that one thing, right? And I'd be like, yeah, man, that's me. He's like, oh, it's awesome. That'd be cool.
And then he's like, hey, y'all know who this is?
Yeah.
And then that's how it starts. Yeah, man. Yeah, that would be awesome to have somebody like that.
If you would like to be an intern, email us, aslan@warchant.com. I'm
there
not
you go.
the gatekeeper. But yeah,
we don't have any
no
hazing rituals that I know of, right?
Yeah, no, we're good.
They're frowned upon. We used to have them all the time. Yeah. But, it's 2022.
Yeah,
Don't let us do what we used to do.
Yeah, we let Austin slide in without any sort of, kerfuffle. Thanks for the question.
It was much like a gang initiation, right?
We get branded. I got the
Warchant.
I got the Warchant W branded on my chest.
Right.
Good to see you again, though, Primetime 92. It's been a while. Welcome back, man. Thanks for the question. Eric in Cincinnati, Knoll 43. Wake up, Noles, gentlemen, Aslan and Corey. As week 1 of spring practice is in the books. Well, not yet. We got one more practice later on today. What stood out the most from your guys' eyes? On a grading scale 1 to 10 on both sides of the ball, which players would you guys say has been the most intriguing and most dominant for our Noles? Hopefully our spring game is an actual game this year and not drills in just half of a game. Ouch, I feel attacked. I think it'd be cool if they made it a skills competition. As always, drink your delicious DeLuna coffee. Hit the thumbs up, like button, subscribe to Warchant on YouTube, warchant.com. Go to Corner Pocket and rip it up. Eric from Cincinnati. Go Noles. Hope to see everybody soon in Tallahassee for spring game weekend. Amen, brother. Amen. All right, who stood out the most in our eyes? Grading scale 1 to 10, both sides. Which players would you say has been the most intriguing and dominant? Micah Pittman had a really good Wednesday. He was getting open on 7-on-7. 11-on-11, I think he even had a catch, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 4 had a check plus on probably about a 12-yard air throw. He's tough to cover, man. He's going to be a problem in the slot for people.
So, man, I think Ja'Kai has been, to me, maybe not so much on Wednesday, but the first 2 days especially, I thought he stood out more than any of the other receivers. And then Johnny Wilson, too. I think those 3 guys in particular. I keep forgetting about Pokey. Pokey's made some plays now. So, again, if you have Pokey as your 3rd or 4th, all of a sudden you're like, all right, this looks normal. This looks like a Power 5 college football team, like it should. Like if he's your 3rd guy, that's a good receiving core. It's at least an average to above average receiving core. When he's your number 1, you got some issues, but he shouldn't be your number 1. I think Johnny Wilson, Pittman, maybe Ja'Kai apparently, who knows? Maybe Destin Hill. We don't know. That guy might be the next Randy Moss.
What about Trey Benson? You and I are a bigger Jeff also. Trey Benson's a guy he'd be one of the intriguing guys probably, right?
Because he has, and I won't put a number on it, but he hasn't done anything like in team stuff where you're like, oh, that's an 80-yard touchdown, that's a 40-yard touchdown. It's just the way he's moving, and it's really hard to judge all of it. Really, let's wait. It's hard to make these kind of assessments when they haven't really been in pads yet. I kind of just the 7-on-7 you can, because they don't tackle in those anyway. There's no real physicality in those anyway. But like 11-on-11, it's just hard to really make judgments based on that. So I am really interested once they come back from spring break what it looks like in pads and who stands out then. I think that to me is the most important part, especially on the line of scrimmage.
Intriguing to me, I would also maybe add in the honorable mention just A.J. Duffy. Again, too early to say anything. He's not factoring into the plans for this season unless there's some sort of catastrophe that happens, which none of us want to see happen. But just in terms of being a true freshman, early enrollee, being thrown out there, he looks capable. I know that's kind of a low bar, but just he does not look overwhelmed at all. When he throws, there's conviction in his throws. kind of has a good idea of where he wants to go. And he's also taking chances. I like to see that. I meant to kind of ask Norvell, and I don't know how to really phrase it, but like when you're a freshman, are you more inclined to do like the safe play, like not take chances, or does it feel more natural just to let it rip? Because he seems to want to let it rip, and I like that because, man, as much as I love offense, I love the vertical passing game. They're scheming up a lot of stuff, rub routes, screen throws, like traditional and tunnel screen. But, man, there's nothing just like a good 3-5 step drop and just letting it go on a deep post, letting your guy just go up and make a play. We haven't seen a lot of that around here. Maybe they got enough guys to do it now, but he seems like a guy that's going to want to stretch the field when he gets his chance at some point.
But it won't. Yeah, it just won't be this year, probably.
850 Noles. That's a new name. Let's get some information. They joined in October 2020.
Oh, all right.
17th post all time. Peter Warwick avatar. Wake up! First time post, so I think I'm supposed to give some info.
Here we go.
Correct. Born and raised in Pensacola, but now I live in Nolensville, Tennessee. Oh, almost Knowlesville, Tennessee. Nolensville, Tennessee. Let me know if you need some freelance video of Chris Parsons this year. Or Parsons this year, the quarterback.
Is he from Nolensville?
Probably close to it, I guess.
Close, yeah, probably a suburb of Nolensville.
We'll let you know, 850 Knowles. Most famous person from the 850, a lot to pick from. I'll go Roy Jones Jr. Dude is super nice. Met him around town a couple times. He would always stop and talk for a few. His hands are rocks. His handshake is brutal.
Roy Jones Sr., not so much. Apparently not the nicest person in the world.
Really? I never heard
Yeah, there was a big, I think he stopped training him. I think he got sued because he did something to one of Roy's dogs or something. There was all this crazy stuff back then. But yeah, I've always heard that from people that lived in Pensacola, that Roy Jones was more beloved there than anybody else that came through. Emmett, Derek, Brooks, because that's where he lived. That's his home.
He reps it. Yeah, man. He reps. Yeah. He lives and breathes it. Yeah.
Yeah, man, he loves that place, and he never left, really. He's been a Pensacola kid his whole life, so they really do appreciate that, which I understand.
Underrated.
That's a good one, too. He was great. Yeah. He was a great fighter.
Oh, absolutely. Underrated, good, strong handshake. I don't have a strong handshake. I need to work on that.
I feel like I've got number one, I fist bump mostly, and that was pre-COVID as well. Yeah. It was just a fist bumping thing, but a fist bumping fool. But like when I did shake hands, I thought I had a pretty good. Like I'm not. There's nothing worse than a dead fish handshake.
Absolutely.
Young men out there,
yes.
If you're listening to this, do not shake my hand as if you're a princess or you're a queen, and I'm supposed to you're barely touching my two middle fingers. Like, hey man, oh don't. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous way to shake someone's hand. Have a firm handshake, but also, and this is probably towards Ralph. I don't remember Ralph's handshake, actually. I think he had probably a firm one, but not a crippling one. But those people that just want to show you how strong they are,
they
want you to go to a knee.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need that either.
Submit.
I like that. I like that more than the dead fish handshake. I mean, just don't do that, guys. Nice and firm, and I always thought I had a pretty good right in the middle. Like it was a firm enough that you knew I was happy to meet you. I respected you. I'm going to shake your hand. I'm not going to just not going to just bow it down so you can give me a kiss on the middle of the hand, like these dead fish kids do. But also, I'm not going to try to cripple you and make you go to the hospital either. Not that I could.
It's like the David Ledbetter handshake. He was a golf instructor. And he said that the way you want to grip, and he had a British accent, he's like, the way you want to grip a golf club, he's like, you want to grip it as if you were holding a baby bird, firm enough so that the bird can't fly away. But you also want to not crush the baby bird either, so you want to find that middle ground. All right, 2 questions from Knowles 850. Welcome, 850 Knowles, I'm sorry. Welcome to the Terror Dome. 2 questions. 1, do these practices give you any insight on how the coaching dynamic will play out this year on game day with some of the new staff changes? Mainly with Atkins, Tokars, and Norvell, as well as Fuller and Shannon. Not quite, not yet. I haven't seen it really yet, Corey.
So what I think happened at the end of Wednesday's practice, because usually, to give Aslan a break, usually when they're done with the 11-on-11 stuff, they blow the whistle, and that's basically the end of practice. So he went to set up. But they did something that they hadn't done, at least we hadn't seen before. Each quarterback got a drive from the 50, 11 on 11. They did it like usually the 11 on 11 they do it's just 3 plays.
Yes.
From your own 20-yard line. There's no real touchdowns. These were actual drives, I think. But they were actual drives. And Jordan scored on his with a Ward touchdown run. Rodemaker hit Portier for like a 50-yard touchdown, and then Duffy had essentially a 3-and-out. They got like 7 or 8 yards, and then Fitzgerald kicked a field goal. But Norvell was on the headset. I did not see where Atkins was, but Norvell was actually on the headset. So to me, it was as much about getting the reps for the players, but it was also getting reps of how they're going to do that. Because why else in the middle of a practice would you be on a headset? But I think that's why there was some communicating going on during that. Now, and if they do it again today when we go out there, I'll be sure to see. I assume Atkins had a headset on too. Who's signaling in plays, all that stuff. But no, we don't know quite yet.
Yeah, somebody had asked about play calling or somebody wearing a headset when they run that first 11 on 11 inside the IPF, like on during period number 3. Norvell's on headset. I don't recall any other coaches being on headset, but I'm sure they are. It's them working through. But, Corey, to your point, when they do like the meat and potatoes of the practice, when they go 11 on 11 midway through practice, he is not on headset. He's roaming around everywhere.
He's running around yelling at everyone.
Yeah, so although the headset is
encouraging,
wireless, but still, yeah.
Yeah, but he wouldn't wear a headset just to no one, right? That'd be weird. Just
right.
There's got to be somebody on the other end saying something.
It's like air traffic control. I think he just wants to kind of hear how everybody's communicating, and he can also throw his 2 cents. But yeah, there's parts of 11 on 11 where he's on it and he's not on it, and Corey's pointing that out. The wrinkle they've added where they wrap up with 11 on 11, he's back on it. So we'll try to keep an eye on it. I think they're doing I've seen a couple more different drills in terms of tackling and trying to get the ball loose. I don't know if that's Randy Shannon effect or whatnot, but also maybe a little too early to tell how that's going to affect. But it's Adam Fuller's defense, man. He's going to figure it out.
I saw a drill they were doing where they put a defensive player and an offensive skill guy back to back. They run like 2 yards around, come back, and then the offensive player has a ball, and it's basically a one-on-one drill. It's not an Oklahoma drill necessarily because it's not just who's tougher, but you have a finite amount of space where you try to make the guy miss and get by him, and there's contact.
I've done that before. Has it been different?
No, but here's what I was just trying to explain the drill, give it context.
All right.
So then after one of the plays, I can't remember it was a receiver. They kind of got by Amari Gaynor, like got to the end, and then Amari came from behind and like Roy Jones Jr. punched at the ball. Not Boeheim punch. It was a good one. I mean, Wilkes didn't take it all that well. I mean, he must have landed that cleanly.
Come on, it's our guy. Come on.
No, I'm just saying it must have hurt. I mean, there was some force to it to make a 6'8", 220 kid fall down like that. But Amari Gaynor came and punched that thing like it was out of frustration, I think. But I was like, man, that's a good rep. Whoever it was, and I can't remember who it was, did not lose the ball, and he didn't even know it was coming. He had it so high and tight that a 235-pound, 240-pound kid who's strong and was violent with that punch coming from behind at the football didn't knock it loose. And it just reminded me again of the drill that we saw with the previous staff when they did they had the manager there just kind of dead fishing it. Just dead fishing it. Yeah, dead fishing the ball. If you can imagine one of those dead fish handshakes men's trying to do a fumble drill, trying to knock the ball out, that's exactly what this looked like. And then Amari Gaynor's out there punching it like he's in a 12-round, heavyweight fight with the football. It was and nobody said anything. Nobody's like, "Hey, Amari, don't do that." No. I'm sure that's welcome. Like, yeah, man, ball security.
Second part of 850 Noles' question. I know this staff really doesn't talk injuries and health at all, but it feels like we were remarkably healthy going into the year. Are we as healthy as it feels? And if so, do you think it is just coincidence, or do we just have a better physical foundation now with Coach Storm's programming starting to take hold? Really hoping we can stay a bit healthier at offensive line all year, this year, for the consistency. Thanks for all the hard work you guys put in for this community. It really is the best and most comprehensive coverage of a program you can find. Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
We were talking about that on Wednesday, right? Like at all those people that were out there. I mean, we had everybody. We had 8 people out there at a practice. And it was like, is there another team that's won 8 games in the last 2 years that has this much
There's a
press
person
coverage.
out there for each win. For each win last year, we had somebody out there for each
I
win.
know, that's right. I got the UNC win. I was at UNC. You got the Miami win.
I want the UMass, so I'll take the UMass one.
Okay, yeah, we'll give Ira the UM win. Yeah, man, no, they are pretty darn healthy. You know, there are some guys that have missed some time, but overall, yeah, I would say they're remarkably healthy, especially at the offensive line, right, Aslan?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they have everybody pretty much available that I know. I don't know how much of it's coincidence. I do think part of it is probably the fact they haven't played they didn't play a lot of football in 2020, and they didn't make a bowl game. I know we talk about how important those extra 15 practices are, but that's another month of practicing. That's another 15 practices. That's another 30 hours of banging and clanging out there, and that sort of stuff accumulates and adds up. So maybe that's the silver lining of not playing. These guys maybe a little more fresh-bodied. But I don't want to take away from whatever Coach Storms is doing because, again, we're seeing guys kind of transforming their bodies, looking a little bit more the part. Jeff's really been pointing that out in the wrap-ups he's done with Corey, so don't want to take away from that either. But probably confluence. Hate to straddle the fence and take something from each column there, but a little bit of all that probably. But, yeah, they're relatively healthy, I would say, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But there's
I'm
still a
not smart
bicycle
enough to
club,
know.
but, you know, the bicycle club isn't really filled with guys that you're expecting to lead your program. That was the bummer. Like when I first got here, I remember Marvin got hurt and, Cam rolled his ankle late in 2018, getting ready for the season. And then, you just see all these guys, man, this was a 4-star guy, and he's just always on a bike.
And a lot of them.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It looked like a leg of the Tour de France half the time over there. It ain't that now. There's guys over there, but it's not nearly as crowded as it used to be. And yeah, to Aslan's point, I agree. I don't know how much you can give credit to Storms, but I don't want to take credit away. I'm sure there is some, there is some effect there. If you're in much better shape, it's harder for you to get injured. I don't know. I assume that's the case.
You'll know soon enough, Corey, when your body just becomes a chiseled Adonis. You'll realize how much of a difference it makes here.
I'll tell you what, the one thing the least coordinated I ever feel when I'm doing these workouts is the rope.
Okay.
The two big ropes.
The battle rope, when you're shaking them.
Oh, my gosh. I just can't. I just saw a commercial where a guy doing it like he's doing double dutch, and I can't get these things doing it at all. I can't get them. I mean, I get them going, but it's deliberate. It's not real fast. I got to get better at that, I guess.
Quint67 chimes back in about the top families at Florida State athletics-wise. The Crockett's, he puts in there, soon to be the Friars.
Yeah.
Camden Friars, the 4-star. And I don't want to butcher, but the Ostrowskis? Ostrowskis?
I don't think there's an R in there, right? Ostazuskis?
He has an R in the spelling. Not to throw him under the bus, but so I can protect my own hide.
I don't think there's an R in there.
Okay.
But, yeah, Henry and Joe, I believe they were twins. And one of them was on The Biggest Loser and lost 200 pounds or something. Yeah, I think they've got one of them has a son that's on the team, I believe, is a walk-on. Yeah. But, no, again, though, we're talking about all time. Those are guys. Yeah, those are guys.
What about Jones? Marvin?
Yeah, man.
Fred?
Absolutely. Yep. That has to go to maybe not the front of the line, but close. Fred was good, man.
And his son was good. His son was all right,
Well, Frederick Jones was all right. But Marvin, if you're going by siblings, Marvin was maybe the best defensive player Florida State's ever had. And his brother was like the leading tackler in the mid-'80s for a couple years on some bowl teams, like some decent teams. So, yeah, when you've got maybe the best defensive player that ever played at Florida State, and his brother was a multi-year starter and like an all-conference type player, even though they weren't in a conference then. They might be, I don't know, man. I guess you can't pass the Drews, but man.
But versus the bowl wears, are you taking the Joneses or the bowl wears? That's tough, right?
Yeah, it's really no. I guess I would take the Joneses because as much as I like Peter, I think Marvin was better. Yeah. And then Fred and Michael kind of cancel each other out. They're both solid to good college football players, but I think I would take the Joneses. But yeah, I don't know if that knocks the Travises out of there or not. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, gang. It's good. It's a good call though. Good call.
Don't forget about the Aguayos. XDQ004. It's Derek. Wake up! I feel like there's probably somebody who's got a daughter that's doing really well that we're forgetting about too. But we'll get to that maybe some other time.
Yeah.
Spring football is here, Derek says, and I am hopeful with an optimism that I honestly have not had since 2017. Parenthetically, he adds, if you remember, we were number 3 that preseason.
I do. The greatest opener of all time.
The GOAT.
That's how it was billed. The GOAT.
Yeah, the real guy. Man, that's a high level of optimism, Derek. I love it. I really have enjoyed looking at the film and seeing that this team is finally looking like a team that is ready to take the step. We can't cry for those that aren't here or decide to not join the climb. I think 2023, we're going to make them all wish they were here. I've got no real proof, but something just feels different about this team. I agree with that, Derek. I don't know if they're special, but there's something out there that feels a little bit different being at practice. If I had to put a word to it, I would say it's confidence. Confidence that they believe in the vision, that they expect to execute it. We shall see come fall, but I'm feeling pretty sure that I'm all on board for an 8-4 regular season express. All right, right on. Outside of Jordan Travis, my question is, outside of him, who, if they were to have an all-ACC season, would let us win 9 games? Let me read that verbatim because I screwed up. Outside of J-Trav, who, if they have an all-ACC season, that we will win at least 9 games? Go Noles, support the sponsors. Okay, so I probably still butchered it. All right, what one player?
I got it.
could have
I got
an
what he's
all-ACC?
saying, yeah. They would give. So he thinks they're an 8-win team anyway. So what player would be worth an extra win if he was like one of the best in the conference?
Should we say it together? Should we count down from 3 and then say our answer?
I mean, it's probably. I think we both have the same one.
No, we probably don't. I'm gonna say Omarion Cooper.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say Jared Verse.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that makes more sense probably.
Yeah, well, I just think a DN maybe has a little more impact on it. But hey, a bad cornerback can have a huge impact on a football game.
But then I think about like Asante. I mean, Asante was all ACC, and that team.
What good did that do? Anyone?
Yeah. I do like that kid, though. I do like Duke.
You do, man. You're all in on
I'm
Duke.
all in. It's crazy. 3-star. Nobody even thought about him. True freshman, mid-season. I mean, just comes in and just starts breaking up passes and picking off Miami. It was incredible. Yeah, probably closer to the football, right? Somebody on the offensive line, maybe for Robert Scott. That make me feel really good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, they need a pass rusher to step in and fill in what Jermaine and Kier did. I just don't know if it's fair to kind of –
It's definitely not, but just answer in the spirit of the question.
Yeah. All right, we're almost there. We got 5 left. And we're doing so good, Corey. Like we can do it, man. You're on good pace. Yeah, it's it's a Friday.
Concise.
Listen to it on the weekend when you're doing chores and stuff, everybody. Warpath Knoll. Wake up! Oh, it's on now. The pads are on. Woohoo! So, who do you pick as a surprise starter for the year? All right, he's got like 3 questions, so let's. That's the first one. Who do you pick as a surprise starter for the year?
Rodemaker.
Corey's on.
What are you laughing for? Man, a surprise starter?
I saw this question the other day, and I had an answer in my head, but like not an actual name, but I think the starting 5 on the offensive line is probably not who you all have in mind right now. But I don't know if it'd be a surprise. But yeah, I just think we probably have an idea that, Darius and Robert at the tackle, and then either Caden or Maurice at center, and then Gibbons, and then whoever else at the other guard spot. Yeah, Dylan. Yeah, but I think we're going to see a starting 5 that everybody, okay. We saw it coming, but maybe – I don't know. There's no way that right now they're like, oh, boy, like he's going to come and just totally throw everybody on its head and shake things up. Haven't seen that yet. But I think offensive line will be somebody different that we're thinking.
But whoever you're thinking of is somebody that's played.
True.
Right? And that's what probably I would think. And that's what's so bizarre about this team is like I was trying to think, and it's like, well, no, that wouldn't be a surprise. That wouldn't be a surprise. That wouldn't be a surprise. Like none of these guys, would Greedy Vance be a surprise? Maybe. But, he was brought here for a reason at corner. So it's like all these guys, so many of these guys have played football, a lot of football. That's an odd place to be where like you can't even think of somebody off the top of your head that's like, oh, that would be absolutely a surprise that if he gets the starting nod other than like a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like even if we said Trey Benson, It's like, well, that's not a huge. I mean, that's a surprise, but that would probably be the biggest surprise, honestly. Yeah. But Trayshawn Ward's going to play. I mean, they're part of the Trey Magnifique backfield, so you can't have that name unless they both play. But yeah, there's so much experience, and they're still so young. And experience doesn't always mean, just because they played a lot of football doesn't mean they're good. Clearly, what's their record the last 2 years? Yeah. But none of these guys would be a surprise, I don't think.
What if Quayshawn
would
Fuller
actually
started?
Be a starter?
What if Quayshawn Fuller started? That'd be a surprise. I mean, although Quayshawn hasn't flashed in the first few days here, but he's flashed in games that have mattered, so that's important.
But that's what I'm saying. Even he would be like a small surprise.
Yeah.
Like it would be a surprise. It'd be a surprise if people didn't start. But like Fuller, okay, so he beat out who? Briggs or McClendon? I mean, that's not. Yeah. You're not going to be wowed by that. It would be a small surprise.
Right on. All right, second question. Good or bad year, do you think Jordan Travis will be back in 2023 as the starter again?
Yes. Well, look, bad year, no. Bad year, they might be, okay, he helped us in the transition, but we're moving on to something better. If he regresses, if he stays the same, he'll be the starter. If he regresses, then yeah, I think you'll definitely have another quarterback in 2023 if he can't get it done. Or if he gets injured and one of the guys that steps in, whether it be the guys on the roster now or somebody that transfers in, he might lose his job that way. But otherwise, yeah, I would think he'd be the guy again in 2023.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to bet on those possibilities. So yeah, I would say he's the starter in 2023. And then last question, who's taking the championship belt for beards? My goodness, Dylan Gibbons is rocking the beard strong, or is Caden Lyles the new champ?
I don't think I've seen Lyles without his helmet off yet.
I have.
Because they walk out when we're interviewing them.
It's very ZZ Top. Caden.
Does it go down to his chest?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Like it touches like a sternum. I mean, it's not like going below his pecs, but yeah, it's touching his sternum. I would say him. Gibbons is. I think Caden takes better care of his. I think he loves it. It's part of his. Dylan's is very Viking, very gritty, very.
Like the guys on the other side of the wall in Game of Thrones.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah.
Just not grooming it at all. Doesn't care about it at all.
Yeah. But yeah, I like Caden's a little bit better. But yeah, they're both pretty strong. They're quite strong. So, thanks for the questions, Warpath Noel. Let's go to Kentucky. It's Dave. He's in Bardstown. Bourbon is your friend. I would like to highlight Leonard Hamilton flying up to Cincinnati to visit our guy Jared Lynn as he goes through chemotherapy. Just goes to show you what a class act Coach Hamilton is, and that for some coaches it really is more than just wins and losses, although he's won a lot. We like to give Florida State administration grief every now and then, but it does seem like they have chosen some really classy coaches over the years. Coach Ham, Lonnie, Krikorian, 11, and of course Bobby. I don't think anybody that hired Mike Martin's alive, though. Not really funny. Love you, 11. Right. Norvell seems like a really good guy. I don't know Meat well enough, but I'd say our coaches have really represented our school well, and that's something to be proud of.
Yeah. So on after the game, actually Stan told us this. Ira and I were talking to Stan Jones, the associate head coach, after the game against NC State, where Florida State won, and he said they were leaving that night. They were flying up to Cincinnati to see Jared Lynn first and foremost, who's the student manager that was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer within the last 6 weeks, 2 months. Yeah. So he couldn't be at senior day because it was senior day on Saturday. He couldn't be there, but they flew up to him to celebrate with him or to see him, which is just that speaks to who they are as people for sure that they did that.
Question from Dave. As I scroll back down, I lost him there for a second.
By the way, so when Leonard was talking about that, I can't remember what game that was. That might have been the Clemson game when he told us all about that. I think because they won that game, and he said they were playing for him because he had just gotten the news like that week. So, yeah, a month ago. Jeez Louise. Leonard got emotional during that, like really emotional.
He did.
And then he got emotional a couple of times this year talking about Raekwon. Mm-hmm. My man, he's an emotional guy. I know he looks he kind of looks like just as stoic as possible on the sideline. But, yeah, he's an emotional guy, and that's why typically his teams play really, really hard for him. Yeah, because they know how much he cares about him.
Deep down inside, he's really just Dick Vermeil.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
All right, question. What happened to DeLuna as a sponsor?
Well, you read that, huh?
That's what I mean. It says he's a subscriber. Nothing. They
Oh.
still love us. They still fuel us on our live shows. We're just, we're opening it up to other Florida State folks to support their businesses. Our guy Zaxby's, it was his turn. It was Ed's turn. Now it's good old Bill at corner pocket.
Yeah. Also a Nole.
Yeah.
Goes to all the baseball games. Big time Nole fan. Been that way for years. I was actually testing some of my my Warchant trivia. Aslan, we still got to talk about that. My Warchant trivia questions out on him, and he was hitting them pretty good, man. He was knocking a lot of them out of the park. I got one for you. I think it's a no-brainer, but this is kind of a taste of what we're looking at.
Okay.
This is like a grade school type question.
Okay.
Who caught Jameis Winston's first touchdown pass?
Oh, come on. I don't. In Pitt, I don't say Rashad.
Nick O'Leary.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
I was in Jackson at a Hooters.
Bill
watching,
knew
I
it.
remember. All right.
Bill knew it.
Yeah, I don't know that stuff. That's
Oh.
If I my question would be like, who was the recruit that committed on national television for the first time? Like in ESPN history.
Oh yeah. Lorenzo Booker. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I might say, hey, if you're listening now, that might be if there is a chance that we're doing something on Tuesday, corner pocket. And if we're doing Warchant trivia, that might be the freebie if you want to come out. That's a freebie. You're getting free points because that will be one of the questions.
Yeah, like don't ask me final scores of games. Like what was the final score of the Choke-A-Doke? Was it 34 all? 38?
31. Yeah.
See, don't ask me those. Dave has one of his prose exercises. I'm really excited about the Warchant wedding that you guys mentioned last week. Is it fair to say that if Aslan's not engaged in 2 years and Corey hasn't popped the question to Stephanie, that you guys will then have to get married to each other? I think Aslan would look great in a white dress, just my opinion.
Right.
Obviously, we'll do the Mike Ditka, Ricky Williams, ESPN.
Oh, there you go.
photograph.
Perfect.
Obviously, Ralph would officiate the ceremony. Pitmaster Chris would cater the reception. Ira would walk Corey down the aisle. The pillars would make up the wedding party. I'll just be happy to get an invite. We'll have you.
We were talking about this.
We'll have you read something. You'll read the poem, or you'll read the
yeah.
Bible excerpt or whatever.
We were talking about this. We have a friend that's a marriage counselor. Kind of a new friend for us, but she's a friend of she was a friend of a friend. Now she's our friend. We actually played trivia with her.
Okay.
And we thought that how it would be funny that right after the wedding ceremony we had our first counseling session with her. People, but in front of everyone. People like that, right?
Yeah. I can video it. We can make that'll be a real good content item. Blow that thing out. Thank you, Dave. Moving on. Nole fan number 1. Good morning, Warchant. There's like 13 O's in the good. I just have one question and a suggestion. All right. I have not heard much about Winston Wright. Just wondering if he is at practice and participating or if he's enrolling in the fall.
He is at practice, and he's participating in some things.
Yes. He's here. So, yeah.
Yes.
We'll have to wait till the fall. Suggestion. Trench talk. Get Destin Hill.
Man.
Or
think of the
maybe-
numbers that would do.
Or maybe one of the starting offensive linemen for the year. That's a good one. You guys are great. Thank you, Nole
thanks,
fan,
man.
everyone. Appreciate that. They've been around since September 2008. That's their
Ooh.
38th ever post.
Wow. 3 a year.
Good. They picked their spots.
Yeah, pick your spots. That's right.
Random_John. Good morning, Aslan and Corey. The best podcast that Warchant has to offer. You guys are like the 2013 football team. Great. The close second Warchant podcast is only because Corey is on it.
Thank you.
Thank
you. You're right, by the way.
John, I thought you were an Aslan guy. Sounds like you're starting to go towards Team Corey over here. Anyways, on to my question. How does Leonard Hamilton fix what happened? I understand the injury bug, but it seems like there was something bigger going on inside the team dynamic. It almost felt, at times, there was some quit on the team. In your opinion, what players do you feel have to be released from the team to assist with chemistry? Who has to come back? What positions do you feel Hamilton needs to bring in from the portal? What do you feel this team will look like and be like next year? That's a tough one.
Yeah, but it's fair, right? Like, it wasn't like they quit. They did quit.
I don't know. I'm saying I don't know what they're going to look like or be like, but all the other stuff is valid for sure. We can
Absolutely. And that was, I wrote about it after the Carolina game, that it's troubling that It's just different. Florida State's never had something like this where you have to go play at North Carolina with a bunch of freshmen. Like, you don't have any steadying influences. The only senior you really had is Raekwon Evans, who's played horrible that game, but also isn't like the fiery guy that's going to lead you. The only real Anthony Polite leads by, if you're talking about the seniors, the guys that are in the program, have been in the program and been to Sweet 16s and played well there, been a key contributor to the success of the team the last few years. It was Polite and Osborne. Well, Osborne was hurt, and Polite was hurt, and Polite's also not that talkative a guy anyway. Like, Osborne was the spirit of the team, and when you lost him, you lost like the bridge from Trent Forrest. In those guys, in my opinion. You lost that. And the question now becomes, because Osborne's almost certainly gone, these other guys, you say what you want about Wilkes, but he was in the program for 5 years. Prieto was in the program for 6 years. You're losing a lot of seniors. And who is the leader next year? Because it could be Polite, that's fine, but he's not a real talkative guy. He's not the vocal guy. So who takes that culture? Who bridges the culture from Trent Forrest to, Tom House or one of these freshmen that are coming in? Because Caleb Mills is probably he's your best scorer anyway. He's not a talkative guy. Cleveland, I think, has some of that to him. And I think Jaden Worley has some of that to him. But it may be Butler even, I don't know. But my concern, and I think it's a valid concern like he brought up, is, well, they got kind of used to just getting their butts kicked. Didn't show a lot of fight. A couple of times, embarrassingly so. I mean, they were 4 points away from having the worst loss in ACC tournament history by anyone. And that's a 9 seed that they played with 2 of their guys back. You saw how they played. They didn't run down the floor. They didn't chase after they got down, they just cashed it in and said it's a wrap. But what's encouraging is how they did finish the season. They did finish it with 3 straight wins. So I don't want just an awful showing in Brooklyn for one day to take away from what they did do down the stretch to get back to 10-10 in the conference after it looked like they weren't going to win a game. But yes, your concern is, are they cool getting beat like that as long as they get shots up, as long as they get some points when they're down 28? Are they cool with that, or are they embarrassed? Because that's embarrassing. And I think, frankly, they're probably too young to be embarrassed. Like, Trent Forrest would have throat slammed someone at some point in that game against Syracuse. Like, he would have been embarrassed by it. And they didn't have any of that on that court with them. And I feel like that's something they got to find. Hopefully these guys find it, and that's the last time we ever watch it.
I know, but that you can't get that in the portal. And can you make that from, can a second-year guy, can a Matthew Cleveland be expected, or a Jalen Worley be expected to do that?
Well, that's the problem, though, is that, they could. Absolutely, they could. But, will they? Does it matter? What lessons are they taking from this year to build on, and what bad lessons and habits are you hoping they flush away, and what will they flush away? Because that there were the weight game, the at weight game, the at Carolina game, the at BC game, the Syracuse game, even the Virginia Tech game here. It's
Pitt at home was bad too, I thought.
Yeah, but I thought they at least tried in that game. They just were bad. But they get on the road and things start going poorly against them. More often than not, they just melt. The Virginia being a great example, a great counter to that. But what was so frustrating about that game against Syracuse is they just cashed it in, said the season's over, and that wasn't great to see. That's not a great way to go into the off season. But I think you saw enough down the stretch to think there's something there. But yeah, from the culture leadership angle, that's gonna be tricky. You got to figure out who that is. I'd like Cleveland to be that guy. I think he plays a little too selfishly at times for my taste to maybe be that guy yet. He's got to learn how to play basketball a little better. I don't know how much of the game you watched, but he got a dunk. Raekwon got a steal, one of the few fast break points they got. Raekwon got a dunk, drove towards the basket to draw the defender, dumped it off to Cleveland for a dunk. Mm-hmm. And I was just wondering to myself, do you think Matthew understands what a great basketball play that is, and maybe he should do more of that?
Yeah. Or
is he just cool with the dunk? Because I don't think he's a selfish kid necessarily. I think he's a good teammate. But man, he's got to learn to be a better willing passer and be a little more selfless maybe on those situations, because that's what Florida State basketball is about.
6th man of the year. What, fourth in a row?
Yeah, right. And look, man, he hit 2 game winners this year. I would say on the whole he had a good freshman season. But there's still, and he's a freshman. So I got to reserve some judgment because, Trent Forrest wasn't great as a freshman either. MJ Walker had some really bad games as a freshman. Like, it happens. But you just hope that he can become, all those guys take steps where they're not going to get punked anymore. Like they did a whole documentary on the class that saved Coach K. Those dudes, their freshman years, Billis and Dawkins and those guys got punked. They're the ones that lost worse than anybody ever. They have that Duke team that had those 5 freshmen that ended up saving Coach K. He didn't get fired at Duke. This was '83. They were the number 1 class in the country, and they lost in the first round of the ACC tournament 109-66, which is the worst loss in ACC tournament history. And there's a really good story that's well known in North Carolina. I've probably even said it on here before, but talking about they went to dinner that night after the game, Krzyzewski and his staff and some administration folks. And one of the guys at the table was like, I think he had a beer or something. He's like, here's to forgetting tonight. And Krzyzewski's like, here's to never forgetting tonight. Yeah. Talking about that 109-66 game. And it turned them around. And when they were all seniors, they played for a national championship and got to the first Final Four. So they took their lumps and they grew from it. That's what you hope this freshman class can do because there is some real talent there, man. Cleveland and Butler are going to play in the NBA. Worley might end up being a Trent Forrest clone. There is some real talent there, man, but they took some serious lumps.
You don't have to name anybody, but he asked, in your opinion, what players do you feel have to be released from the team to assist in chemistry? Do you think that's something that's going on? Like, is there going to have to be addition by subtraction? I mean,
no, I wouldn't think so. No, honestly, I don't. Like, it's not like Caleb Mills doesn't play hard, and he's a guy that can go on a run. He can score 12 straight points by himself. And I wouldn't even call him necessarily selfish. He just plays a certain style where he takes some contested jumpers, but that's how he plays. And no, I think Fletcher's a good teammate. I think Cleveland and Worley and Butler are all young and growing. I mean, there is a nice core there, but I do think Polite coming back would be absolutely enormous.
Is there any shot that Malik comes back?
It doesn't sound like it. Just reading between the lines, the way Leonard talked about it, he said one of the guys that could come back probably would, and one of the guys almost definitely isn't. And we were just,
makes sense. I mean, he's
that it would be Malik 32. Is what we were thinking. But I do think they got to get in the portal for something. Yeah, something.
All right, we got 2 more, but Noel Daddy 13, all he did was just quote the post that I made, and he didn't type anything in there. So.
All right. Well, that doesn't count. We're off the hook for that one then.
Yeah. He's got a great avatar, though. It's got you with the photoshopped cornrows on your head. Remember those?
Yeah, I do.
Those are great. I don't know, Noel Daddy 13. Tag us in a thread or a post or something. We'll get to it on Monday. Last one, Daryl, Thomasville, North Carolina. Good afternoon, fellas. Well said. Hope you two are doing well. I have a couple of questions for you. What's going on with Brownlee not being at practice? Heard something about him holding out due to his NIL deal. Anything to that? Corey answered on the live show. He's with the team.
He's still on the team. Currently. That's what we're allowed to say. Again, we get unprecedented access to this college football team, which is great for you guys. Literally, like even if you think I'm an idiot, I can tell you what happens at practice. Like we're allowed to say who looked good and who didn't, who caught a 70-yard pass, who didn't. We're allowed to do all that, but there is a trade-off, and so we have to respect the wishes there of the head coach because again, I'm not kissing up. I've criticized this guy plenty, but it is unprecedented access to get. Just trust me, nobody else in the country is doing this. And he does it every single practice is open to us. And we're allowed to comment on almost everything. But in this instance, just know that Brownlee is on the team. And that's all we're at liberty to say.
Second question. Let's say A.J. Duffy beats out Tate Rodemaker for second-string quarterback. Do you see him transferring or will he stick it out? Wow, man. Daryl throwing the flame today, man. Asking the hard questions.
Man, I would
think so.
I mean, I would hope he'd stay. Like, what did Chubba Purdy gain by leaving in October?
Some cool NIL deal to hawk something in Lincoln, Nebraska, maybe.
But he could have done that in November.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like he could have played against Florida.
But they're bringing in Chris Parsons too. I mean, I
don't
know.
I would definitely think that Rodemaker would transfer, but he wouldn't know that he wasn't.
timing-wise.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the timing of it. If he's third string on August 25th, I would hope he just wouldn't get into the portal, because what good does that do you? Like, things change. Maybe you have a great practice. Maybe somebody gets hurt. Why would you just be wanting to dangle in the wind with no school and just leave leave your teammates in a lurch? I just don't understand the in-season transferring. Chubba gained nothing from that. Zero.
Well, everyone's got a little bit of pride and ego, man. It'd be tough if a true freshman's ahead of you and you're 3 years removed from high school. I get it, man. Like, as a fan, you're like, don't be selfish. This program, this university's giving you an opportunity. They've given you a scholarship. They've given you all these things. Stick it out. Corey, you're right. If Jordan goes down and then AJ gets his helmet knocked off, somebody's got to go into a game and shoot. If you go into the game and you throw a 20-yard pass, maybe they keep you in the game. Who knows what happens? But
yeah, it happened against Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'd understand it, man. Like, I wouldn't hold anything against
him. But for what purpose? Like, why wouldn't you still want to be on a team?
You're 20 years old and you want to throw a tantrum, and you're going to throw a tantrum. Like, I'm out.
Oh,
man.
well, I got you. So you agree it's probably not rational or logical.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
There's really nothing to gain, because, hey, man, I'm the guy that couldn't beat out a true freshman. I'm in the portal. Come after me, everybody. Like, line up. You're not getting yourself.
And you can't go play that year.
Yeah.
That year's a wash anyway. So it just, like, what Chubba did just made 0 sense.
But it's
None.
tough, man. Like, you got to wake up 5 a.m. if you don't want to be there. Like, if your heart's not in it, like, I'm not going to play. I don't, the staff doesn't believe in me. I don't believe in them any longer. Like, do I want to keep waking up? I love my guys. I love my teammates. So maybe that's what gets you up out of bed continuously for the next 3 months or so. But
what if they promised Tate they'd move practice to 4?
I mean, I'm just saying that might keep somebody. I mean, that's why Chubba left. Maybe Chubba's like, I'm sick of waking up, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, could be. I know. Well, I was going to say I know I got sick of it, but I didn't. I didn't go to practice there the final couple months of the season.
Great
you
shows,
did, though.
Great show. Ira really did. Ira and Austin. Shoot, everybody. I ain't gonna lie. I think by the time, when they lost, like, everybody lost at Clemson, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna show up for the last 20 minutes and grab.
We're front runners, gang.
Yeah.
We're front runners. Understand that about us.
Well, we also have a functioning brain. All right, great show as always, guys. Sign up for warchant.com and drink your DeLuna hot chocolate, because I don't drink coffee. LOL. Visit the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and hit that like button. And most important, get excited to do the War Chant and go Noles. That's it, Corey. We made it to the end.
We did it. How long? How long the show was this?
1 hour and 20 minutes. 21 minutes.
Oh, my gosh.
Plus the
folks, if you
commercials
made it to the end, for real, you're the best.
Join us on Monday. We'll have a wrap-up of baseball and softball, as well as our observations from Friday's practice. We'll have all that from the Monday show for you folks. And we'll do a couple more shows. Although the team's not going to be practicing, we'll figure out a way to, tide you folks over, because look what you guys did. Give us an
Also,
entire
we'll
show
get to talk about Selection Sunday and where the Noles are going.
Yeah, okay.
And maybe the women are on the bubble.
All right.
The women are on the bubble, so they might the FSU women might get a tournament berth, hopefully.
Right on. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Stay connected to warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Thumbs up on the way out if you made it this far. Although maybe not. You should be made it this far. That's enough. Thank you. We love you all. It's been Wake Up War Chant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.